Maryanne Wolf, Reader, Come Home, The Reading Brain in a Digital World. In Reader, Come Home, The Reading Brain in a Digital World, Maryanne Wolf embarks on a fascinating exploration of how the human brain adapts to the fast-paced nature of modern technology. Technology has transformed our reading habits, shifting our focus from physical books to fleeting digital content. This book probes into the effects this change may have on our neuroplasticity and reading experiences. Are we losing our ability to read deeply in favor of effortless skimming? How do digital devices impact the way children learn to read? Wolf will delve into these questions and discuss our brain's complex network, deep reading, empathy, multitasking, and the balance between print and digital mediums.
Rewiring our brains for reading. The ability to read is not innate, it is a cultural invention that our brains develop through neuroplasticity. This is the process of creating new neural networks in response to specific needs, such as reading. Reading draws on clusters associated with language and vision and results in the brain developing a new network designed specifically for reading. This process is expedited by the brain's ability to draw on established networks, which perform adjacent functions. As a result, the neuronal networks for reading vary depending on what language is being used. In essence, reading rewires our brains, and this process never stops, even in response to the digital age. Deep reading for empathy. Reading deeply grants us empathetic experiences as we view the world from different perspectives. However, the decline of empathetic expression in today's youth is linked to a decrease in deep reading habits, replaced by a surge of online distractions. Reading has always been a crucial way of understanding another person's perspective. When we read deeply, we immerse ourselves in a text and construct mental images to make sense of it. Even if these pictures aren't in the text, we use our knowledge and imagination to fill in the gaps. Ernest Hemingway's six-word short story, For Sale, Baby Shoes, Never Worn, demonstrates this ability to trigger meaning beyond the text. Deep reading also involves perspective-taking, where readers imagine the context left out of a story and view things through a character's eyes. This empathetic approach helps us empathize with what someone else is going through and broadens our sense of self. However, the decline in deep reading habits is negatively affecting our empathetic expressions. Empathy in college students has decreased by 40% in the last 2 decades, according to a Stanford University study. The increase in online distractions, leading to less engagement in deep reading in real-life relationships, may be the cause. To preserve our empathy for others, we need to prioritize deep reading and engage with texts that challenge our perspectives and broaden our horizons. The cost of our digital diet. Our constant consumption of digital information is changing the way we read and think, negatively affecting our ability to deeply understand and contemplate ideas. The University of San Diego's Global Information Industry Center estimates that we consume 34 gigabytes of information daily, causing our attention spans to shrink while our appetite for data grows. This trend of consuming information in short bursts online is impacting our ability to delve deeply into books and requires our attention to be divided into ever shorter intervals. Such a development has major implications for our ability to understand complex ideas and events that can have profound effects in the long run. The author, a specialist in reading habits, was not immune to this change. Her pile of books began to gather dust, and even her favorite book, Hesse's Magister Ludi, took perseverance and effort to comprehend once again. Though our digital dependence is detrimental to our cognitive abilities, it is possible to recover our deep reading skills with patience and persistence. The dangers of digital devices on children's brains. Rapidly switching between tasks is the norm in today's world, thanks to our brain's preference for anything new and attention-grabbing. This mindset triggers the brain's reward center, making multitasking an addictive cycle. Children, in particular, find it hard to resist short-term rewards due to their developing prefrontal cortex. Digital devices further reinforce this behavior, leading to overstimulation, cortisol and adrenaline release, and ultimately, addiction. Shockingly, most children, even as young as 3, spend around 4 hours daily on digital devices. This reliance on gadgets poses a risk to their brain development, health, and overall well-being. Therefore, we must adopt measures to prevent irreparable brain damage in the next generation. The power of bedtime stories. Recalling memories of cuddling with a parent while listening to bedtime stories evokes positive emotions, but it also has a cognitive impact on children's development. The shared attention during story time helps establish skills that support cognitive, memory, and language development. Repeated exposure to familiar stories builds a storehouse of new words and concepts, facilitating self-reading when they're 5. Unfortunately, digital devices can't replace the positive sensory experience of being read to. Research studies illustrate that a child's linguistic development increases vastly when they learn their vocabulary from a real person. Thus, reading to a child predictably influences whether they'll become an adept reader. Illiteracy and education crisis in the U.S. The far-reaching effects of illiteracy in the U.S. are highlighted in the National Assessment of Adult Literacy Survey's conclusion. The report indicates that approximately 93 million Americans can only read at or below a basic level. Furthermore, the inability to read causes a considerable educational crisis, especially among American fourth graders, who are not fully proficient readers. Consequently, students with poor reading skills are more likely to drop out of school later in life. Additionally, Cynthia Coletti, a philanthropist and the author of The Blueprint for a Literate Nation, clarifies that there is a causal relationship between fourth-grade reading levels and future social outcomes. The National Bureau of Prisons in the U.S. uses statistical data on reading levels to estimate the number of prison beds it'll need. The solution to the U.S.'s illiteracy problem lies in providing children with support to learn how to read. This support should be available in both school and at home. However, this is not currently happening, and the educational bar is raised significantly in the fourth grade. As a result, many pupils struggle to read more challenging material that teachers expect them to read independently. This can be catastrophic, particularly for students with dyslexia and other literacy issues. Teachers need to be prepared to deal with literacy issues effectively and provide the necessary support to struggling students. Unfortunately, many parents and children don't have the option to send their children to better schools. The importance of bilingual fluency in print and digital mediums. The book argues for encouraging children to become bilingual in print and digital mediums for a stronger ability to learn and read. Physical books should be the focus of early schooling to foster sustained attention and deep reading, while digital skills like coding and programming aid intellectual development and prepare children for STEM subjects. By developing a biliterate brain, children can make informed choices about online and offline consumption. Teachers should emphasize the importance of original thinking and encourage children to write down their thoughts by hand. Bilingual fluency in print and digital mediums will equip children with the skills necessary for success in today's world. The 3 lives of a reader. In the Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle identified 3 lives of a good society: knowledge, entertainment, and contemplation. Readers must also balance these 3 lives to be their best selves. The first involves seeking knowledge, the second is about entertainment, and the third is a personal realm where we contemplate what we have read and turn our experiences into wisdom. To cultivate the third life, we must create time and space to think deeply in our fast-paced digital world. Balancing the 3 lives of a reader is essential in this ever-evolving technological society.
As the digital age marches on, Reader, Come Home presents a critical perspective on how the shift toward digital reading impacts our neuroplasticity and empathy. Understanding these changes will help readers strive for a biliterate brain, capable of adapting to both physical and digital reading experiences. Rather than abandoning technology, we must learn to balance our exposure to different mediums, striking a harmony between knowledge, entertainment, and contemplation. By cultivating deep reading skills and maintaining an emphasis on physical books in early years of learning, we can harness the best of both worlds, enabling us to think deeply, foster empathy, and nurture our cognitive abilities.